I've said it all last year. It's so important for folks to understand how to resolve conflict resolution without picking up a handgun and hurting someone.
Officers tonight pleading for an end to all of this violence. IMPD investigations happening right now after 4 shootings left 5 people dead and 1 person injured in Indianapolis tonight. This is the story that we've been covering throughout the last few days. And again, we have just started 2021. Now, the city says that we have already come off a record-breaking year for violence. We're going to break down these cases, but first, we do want to start with a triple shooting on the northeast side where 2 people are dead and 1 is injured. Fox 59's Lindsay Eaton explains why investigators think this started as a home invasion.
We know 3 people were shot and 2 of them were killed inside a home on North Pasadena Street. Also inside that home, police found a toddler who was there during the deadly shooting, and thankfully she wasn't hurt. Just after 6:30 tonight, officers were called out to North Pasadena Street. They found a woman shot. She was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Officers found a man and a woman dead inside the home. It is still too early in the investigation, but right now detectives believe this was a home invasion robbery that turned deadly. We still don't know if this was random or a targeted crime. On scene, we talked with IMPD officer William Young, who calls this one of the most horrendous crime scenes he's seen in his 15 years as a police officer. But tonight he is thankful the young girl is alive.
That's the most heart-wrenching thing that our officers encountered. However, she was not injured, and I can't, it just touches me that she was not injured. Thank God.
We can tell you a female police officer was caring for that little girl until family arrived. Police are still trying to figure out the relationship between her and the 3 victims. So far, no arrests have been made. IMPD making it clear they will be at the scene for a while tonight. Reporting in the newsroom tonight, Lindsay Eaton, Fox 59 News.
Here's what we know about other ongoing investigations. On the near northeast side, police say 60-year-old Johnny Purchase was shot and killed. This was on Hillside Avenue, not too far off from East 25th Street and North Keystone. That happened just after 3 o'clock. And then about half an hour earlier on the north side, a woman was found shot on Boulevard Place. This is near West 39th. 32-year-old Ashley Bell was rushed to a hospital but later died. Investigators say this is a busy area and ask anyone who knows something, share any information with police. Even if you were just driving by at the time, they really want to hear from you. Now, around 5 tonight on the northeast side, a man was shot outside an apartment building on Stratford Court near 42nd and Post. He was also rushed to the hospital where he later died. In a statement, Mayor Hogsett says in part, quote, all of us, IMPD, violence reduction teams, neighborhood and faith leaders, and residents must continue to work together to stop the cycle of violence and heal our community. Chief Taylor also commenting tonight, saying, quote, the men and women of IMPD remain steadfast in our resolve to bring justice for victims and their families and prevent future violence. He promises to continue making changes to help with crime reduction. Major snow totals, high winds and icy temperatures making their way across central Indiana tonight, creating tough conditions for drivers and first responders all across our state. It's the most severe winter storm that we have seen this season, and we are staying right on top of it for you. Good evening, I'm Birchelle Edmay. Right now on NewsPoint, we're tracking this storm's path across our region and the dangerous conditions it is leaving behind for us. We do have team coverage from across central Indiana tonight with our crews working to bring you the very latest as we do look ahead to tomorrow's commute. Travel warning, watches and advisories are now in effect across the entire state. You are seeing that map right now. It does also include an advisory here in Marion County in effect until tomorrow morning. That's at 5. Authorities are urging drivers to stay off the roads if you can. We do want to get straight to Weather Authority Chief Meteorologist Brian Wilkes, who has a look at what we have to deal with overnight.
Well, we'll see the snow begin to taper down. Birchelle, that's about over 30 different counties under some kind of a warning now for travel. And
meanwhile, this weather is making for dangerous road conditions as of 6 tonight. State police tell us they have responded to 238 crashes, 128 slide-offs, and 231 motorist assists since midnight. We've been staying on top of these conditions for you all night as officials urge Hoosiers to stay home, stay safe. Fox 59's Kelly Rinke has the latest check on the roads for us now. She is in the northwest side. So, Kelly, what are you seeing out there tonight?
Hey there, Birchelle. We are on Lafayette Road. We're heading north towards 71st Street, and we are taking it very slow because look at this. It is a total mess out here. You can't even see the lines in the road, so it's really unclear which lane we're even in. So that's why us and the 2 cars in front of us, we're going really slow because, of course, it is slick too. Even though we are only going straight, we've been avoiding turns. We've kind of been slipping and sliding, going at a max of maybe 25 miles per hour. As you enter some of these intersections, this is where it gets tricky too, because a lot of the snow is accumulating there. We actually saw a driver earlier this evening who got stuck in the middle of the intersection, and an Indianapolis police officer actually had to come and help him and help dig him out. So hopefully he was okay there. But even if you're taking it slow, it can be a pretty tricky situation out here. And so that's why everyone is telling you, if you don't have to be out here, make sure you are taking it slow for yourself.
Thank you. Now, Indy's Department of Public Works warning us the roads will not be clear when we wake up tomorrow morning. That's one of the reasons what you see right here. They were trying to be preemptive throughout the evening and afternoon hours, trying to get as much salt and brine on the roads as they could so that when drivers do get on the highways or maybe even the roads in your neighborhood, that you could have that safe commute. But as the snow is coming down and we're expecting some of that heavy wind as well, it is a concern. Now, as you take a live look on NDOT, one of our cameras there, you're not seeing too many drivers on the road. That is exactly what our authorities wanted to see. We spoke a bit earlier with Sergeant Perrine with Indiana State Police, and as you just heard from the numbers, people were outside and they were causing accidents. They were really running into some severe conditions out there. It's one of the reasons that Indiana State Police wanted to see these exact conditions you are seeing on our NDOT camera right now. Not a lot of traffic out there, but if you are having to go out, whether it's overnight or in the morning, the main concern here is for slide-offs and possible accidents. It's one of the reasons they're cautioning everyone who's watching right now, stay home, stay safe, and when you are able to do so, and we get the clear from authorities to be able to get back out onto the road. Now, one of the things that we've heard too is from the people who will be waiting on us on the roads to make sure that things are clean. That does include DPW. So we've heard the warnings here that the snow is going to blow over the roadways faster than DPW crews can plow them tonight. And Fox 59's Courtney Crown, she's live on the city's north side. Courtney, what can we expect for that morning commute? What will DPW be doing to make sure that we are safe?
Well, Michelle, DPW is waiting until this snow finally subsides, and I just heard that's going to be about 2 o'clock in the morning. They're going to wait until then to start putting out salt. But I can tell you it's a good thing that travel advisory is in effect until at least 5 o'clock in the morning, because as we've been out here, I would say in the past half hour, these roads right here at 86th Street and Michigan Road have really deteriorated. In fact, there's a car behind me. It stalled out on 86th Street. And actually, they had to pull it out of the roadway. And then you can see right here, here's another car. It's trying to turn. This side has really had some issues with people stalling out, spinning out, and not being able to move forward. So a lot oh, you guys can see that truck right here. This is why you've got to be so careful, everybody. And if you don't have to go out, just stay at home. Okay. He looks like he's doing well. Just take it slow. But again, DPW, they're waiting on this snow to stop falling so that they can finally add some salt to the roads.
You'll notice Indy's Department of Public Works plow trucks on the roads around the clock through at least Thursday.
During the snow fight, you will not be seeing drivers drop salt. We do not want to drop salt on top of snow and then plow it out of the way. That's a complete waste of salt. Salt will not be dropped until we reach bare pavement.
Right now, DPW says their focus is the main roadways and secondary streets like Ditch Road and Mithofer Road.
We will, at some point during this snow fight, get to our residential connectors. Those are the over 300 lane miles of streets that are in more residential areas.
The department is concerned about the blowing snow's impact on not only their drivers, but all of us.
If they're causing whiteout conditions for you, they're causing whiteout conditions for our drivers as well. You do not want to play around with a 30-ton truck with salt and a plow on it. So please stay back of all of our trucks.
NDOT trucks are also out in full force treating interstates, U.S. routes, and state roads. They ask drivers to stay behind the snowplows and allow at least 10 car lengths between you and them.
Just imperative that people slow down and really give other vehicles and especially our plows room on the roads.
Well, guys, DPW says they really hope that people will give them some patience. They have about 4,400 lane miles to plow through once this snow finally stops. And I do want to mention out here at 86th in Michigan, again, this snow is really accumulating out here. So much so, in fact, that you can't see the medians in the road. We actually saw a truck make a left-hand turn into that mobile gas station right there. Now, luckily, they were in a truck, so they were able to make it over. But certainly, if you were in a smaller car, things would have been a lot more rough. Just another reason, if you don't have to go out, please just stay home. We're live on the northwest side tonight. Courtney Crown, Fox 59 News.
Courtney, thank you. Of course, we're going to have team coverage for you throughout the night and, of course, in the morning as well. But another resource that you have is DPW's Progress Online. You can do so and find out where they are with the Indy Snow Force viewer. You can track how long it's been since plows stopped through your neighborhood or commute. We do have that link for you before you hit the road. You can find it at fox59.com. And areas to our south also digging out tonight after this storm. Fox 59's Lindsay Eaton joins us now live from Greenwood. Lindsay, what kind of conditions are you seeing right now?
Yeah, hey there, Beershell. As you can see, the wind and the snow really hasn't let up out here. Throughout the evening, we have seen several cars get stuck. And just in the past 5 minutes, we saw a van that was trying to get up this little hill here right behind me, and it just couldn't get up the hill. It rolled right back into the road and just continued on. As for the roads, this is 31 here in Greenwood. It is slick out there. You can.
A historic NCAA tournament tips off across central Indiana, and the Hoosier State is showing off.
There's no other city in the nation that does not want to be Indianapolis, Indiana right now.
Over the weeks ahead, 68 teams and thousands of fans will be making history at some of Indiana's most beloved venues. And the Hoosier State is pulling off this unprecedented event with just a few months' notice. Now, as we enter a March Madness like we've never seen before, all eyes are on Indianapolis, and it all starts this evening. Thanks for joining us here for News Point. I'm Beershell Edmay, and we have a team full of coverage right now for you this evening. And they're from downtown Indianapolis all the way to West Lafayette, where the first games are kicking off at Mackey Arena. So first, let's head over now to Fox 59's Mike Sullivan for a closer look at the major efforts that Indy has done to pull off this tournament.
Here's what's coming up next at 5.
A mass shooting in Indianapolis leaves families heartbroken and a city shaken.
The eyes of the nation are on Indianapolis today.
We have located 8 people at the scene with injuries consistent to gunshot wounds. Those 8 were pronounced deceased here at the scene.
In ways that we would never have hoped for.
8 people dead, multiple others hurt at a FedEx ground facility overnight. Authorities confirm the gunman took his own life.
My heart goes out to the people. All they did was go to work.
Some families reuniting with loved ones, others left with heartbreak. All of us looking for answers.
Never once did you think it would happen in your own backyard, and when it does, it's like a wake-up call.
This is breaking news from the Fox 59 newsroom.
Live at 5, we're following the very latest on what has been a tragic day in Indianapolis. The city reeling from this latest mass shooting. Local and federal investigators now working around the clock to learn more about what led up to this shocking violence that left 8 people dead along with the suspected gunman. Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us live at 5. I'm Dan Spieler.
And I'm Beershell Edmay. We're also getting new information within the last hour about the suspected gunman. Authorities identifying him as 19-year-old Brandon Scott Hole from Indiana. He is a former FedEx employee. IMPD says he left in 2020, but we're still working to find out if he was fired. The FBI tells us that last March, the suspect's mom reported to law enforcement that he might be trying to commit, quote, suicide by cop. He was immediately put on a mental health hold, and a shotgun was seized from his home. This afternoon, we were at the home linked to the suspect, where investigators seized evidence, including desktop computers and other electronic media. Now, police say Hole arrived at the FedEx ground facility on the southwest side right around 11 last night. Authorities report he fired shots both inside and outside that facility. Police just confirmed in a news conference they are in the process right now of speaking with the family members of those involved.
We're bringing you team coverage tonight as we continue to get new information on this case minute by minute. Let's first go to Fox 59's Russ McQuaid. He's out there on the scene at that FedEx facility right now. Russ, what do we know?
And a good afternoon, Dan. We're here at 8951 Mirabel Road. It's south of I-70, south of the Indianapolis International Airport. And it's been a crime scene and totally shut down since about 11 o'clock last night, and it yet may be a couple more hours before IMPD finishes its on-site investigation into the murders of 8 people by an armed man. Crime scene investigators spent the day methodically working that crime scene, determining where the victims fell, the locations of shell casings, and looking at the suspect's vehicle. Several employees were in the parking lot shortly before 11 p.m. when the gunman opened fire before heading inside and continuing to fire shots.
Certainly, I can't speculate why he chose this time, but we do know that this was right around the shift change, and we also know that it was right around the break time, and that a lunch break for some of the workers that were still here.
After talking with witnesses, searching for surveillance video, detectives think they know how the gunman walked among his victims and fired time and again.
We know that the suspect arrived here in a vehicle. He got out of the vehicle, appeared to start firing randomly. Didn't appear that he was targeting any specific person. He started firing randomly at those that he saw in the parking lot initially. Then he went into the facility where he encountered some other employees, fired shots inside. I believe he actually came outside again, went back inside, and then that's where he took his own life inside the facility.
The names of the victims are still being confirmed. Investigators won't speculate yet on a motive for the killings. Relatives told me today that it was common knowledge that the FBI had investigated Hull and gone to his mother's house on the city's east side last year and seized some of his electronics, his computer. Meanwhile, IMPD told us this afternoon that it still has in its possession 2 weapons that have been seized from him in the past, and they did not speculate on whether or not the weapon that was used last night was obtained legally. On the city's southwest side, Russ McQuaid, Fox 59 News.
Okay, Russ, thank you. We're also getting new details coming in tonight about the suspected gunman who was a former FedEx employee.
So Fox 59's Courtney Crown joining us now, Courtney Spinelli joining us live right now. She's been gathering some more information here about this man, also talking to neighbors. So Courtney, what have you learned?
Well, Beershell, that suspect, 19-year-old Brandon Hull, of course, we said we do know he is now been confirmed that he is a former FedEx employee, though we're still working to learn whether he was terminated from the company or if he left on his own. But within the last few minutes, we're learning more about his history with law enforcement, and that includes the FBI. Today, investigators searched a home in Indianapolis associated with Hull. Officials say electronic devices and other evidence were taken from the home during that search. And the home where the search is focused was actually the site where police were called last March for a mental health call. Documents show at that time the suspect was transported to a hospital and a shotgun was seized during the call. Now, one thing we do want to mention is reports show that gun was purchased within 24 hours before police were called to the home. The FBI is now confirming even more on that incident, specifically saying in 2020, Hull threatened he may try to commit suicide by cop. The FBI says, quote, no racially motivated violent extremism ideology was identified during the course of the assessment and no criminal violation was found. They also say that shotgun was not returned to Hull after that. But today, family members of the suspect alleged his immediate family failed to get him the help he needed, despite these warning signs.
Brandon was isolated. We lost our father in 2004 due to suicide. We do have a lot of mental illness in our family, and he never got the help that he needed.
I didn't ever know what it was, but then this morning I woke up and looked out here and saw all this, and neighbor here told me that he heard it had something to do with this FedEx deal out here.
Now, that neighbor says he doesn't know the suspect well himself, but he has seen several calls for police to respond over to that address. Now, a spokesperson for FedEx said at this time there is no clear motive, but they are not going to speculate on it either way. They are cooperating with authorities in this investigation. As for immediate family members of Hull, we have reached out to them as well. We have not heard back, and we did knock at the door of that home where that search was conducted today, but we did not get any answer. We'll bring you more as, of course, we learn more on his background and anything else on his previous employment with FedEx. For now, reporting on the east side, Courtney Spinelli, Fox 59 News.
Courtney, thank you. Now, we'll keep speaking with those neighbors and investigators to get some more information. And as soon as we get those updates, you'll see them here online as well. You'll also see them at the Fox 59 News app.
She's okay. That's good.
A lot of powerful moments today, and this is no doubt just one of many emotional reunions that we saw play out. But, you know, nearly 18 hours later, some families are still desperately waiting to hear whether or not their loved ones are safe. We've been talking with families all day going in and out of the Holiday Inn just a mile from that FedEx location. It's not clear when everyone will be notified. IMPD's chaplain has been helping comfort families during this agonizing wait.
It's the pain of waiting and the pain of being unsure of the safety of your loved one. And that is probably one of the most difficult things to watch and to see and to be a part of.
Heart goes out to everybody involved here today. We've learned 90% of the workers at this FedEx location are members of the Sikh community. The Sikh Coalition confirmed in a statement they had lost community members in last night's shooting.
Flags have been ordered at half-staff here in Indiana and at the White House to remember these victims. And the Biden administration also speaking about this, responding to yet another mass shooting in the U.S. Just last week, President Biden called on the Justice Department and urged Congress to enact gun violence prevention laws. Now, in a statement this afternoon, the president says he's been briefed on this shooting. He adds, quote, "God bless the 8 individuals we lost and their loved ones." The commander-in-chief ends the tweet saying, quote, "We can and must do more to reduce gun violence and save lives." He is expected to speak on this issue later this evening. Of course, we will bring that to you when it happens. In the meantime, Vice President Kamala Harris also expressing grief for these families.
Yet again, we have families in our country that are grieving the loss of their family members because of gun violence. There is no question that this violence must end, and we are thinking of the families that lost their loved ones.
Vice President Kamala Harris today. Governor Eric Holcomb also among those issuing a statement saying, in part, in times like this, words like justice and sorrow fall short in response for those senselessly taken. He says our thoughts are with the families, friends, co-workers, and all of those affected by this terrible situation. The governor has ordered all flags be lowered to half-staff from now until Tuesday in remembrance of those lost last night.
This evening, we're also speaking with local disaster preparedness experts as part of our coverage, and many of you at home may have heard this tragic news on your way to work or even just getting up. And our experts say there are ways that you can stay safe in the event of an active shooter. Fox 59's Bianca Reyes explains.
Unfortunately, I never expected this to happen when I woke up this morning.
It's a type of situation that no one can really predict, not even security experts.
We now are part of that nationwide list of, mass shootings.
Indiana University's chief of police says an active shooter situation is a growing reality. There have been dozens of mass shootings in the U.S. in the last month alone.
You go to work or you go to the grocery store, you go to the bank, and you ask in your mind, what could happen if someone tried to rob this bank right now? What would happen if an active shooter came in? Where would I go?
Run, hide, fight. It's a phrase experts want everyone to know. They say those steps are an employee's best defense against an active shooter threat and should be practiced often.
When we're so stressed out, possibly so stressed out, we don't remember certain things. If we've done it repeatedly, we've created that muscle memory, if you will, then we're more likely to follow those instructions.
Jay Dawson recently retired from Muncie PD after 3 decades of service. Now he helps train employers on how to prepare for active shooters. He recommends having a written plan, doing annual drills, and securing entrances.
You may not be able to stop this person from doing this, but you may be able to stop them from doing it at your business.
Dotson says these plans are not in place to instill fear, but rather to have the satisfaction that you're prepared.
If we have a plan in our mind prior to it happening, we're going to respond better.
In Indianapolis, I'm Bianca Reyes, Fox 59 News.
Some really important tips that really could make a difference here, and we'll be sharing those on our website as well, fox59.com.
We are working around the clock to bring you the latest on this developing story with our city in anguish tonight. We are covering everything going on at the FedEx facility and the reaction pouring in from all around the country. So stay with us tonight on air, online at fox59.com. We'll have the very latest as those updates come in.